All right, so this video is just to take you through the Project 2 guidelines, which is going to be to create Excel spreadsheet that will calculate your grade in the class using the weighted averages and the Excel knowledge that you've gained from doing the different Excel homeworks. So you can see this is taken directly from the syllabus. There are 5 different assignment types in the course. You can drop 4 of your lowest MyLab Math homeworks. You can drop the lowest 1 of your MyLab Math Excel homeworks. You can drop the lowest 2 of your quizzes. You do not drop projects. You do not drop tests. And then you can see the weight assigned to each assignment type. So you are going to open Excel spreadsheet. You're going to create columns for each assignment type. You're going to want to leave room. So you're going to have, say, in column A, you're going to have the name of the assignment, and then column B will be the grade that you have for that particular assignment. And then you're going to move over and you're going to have the different Excel homework names, and then in column D, you'll have the grades for those. So I'm going to just show you an example of mine. So this is just an example. So you can see that I have in column A, these are the names of all the assignments. We are only up to, say, 3.4, but we have all these other assignments all the way down to section 9. You have, this will be the total Excel homeworks that you'll have. We have gotten through marathons. You have GPS that you were just assigned. We have only had 2 quizzes. You have your next quiz on Monday on chapter 3. You've had the first project, and then you have this project, and we will have a total of 3 unit tests. We've only had 1. But this is what it'll look like. You'll create, in column A and B will be for your homework assignments. Column A will be for the name of the assignment, and the column B will be for the grades. So when you type in your grade for the assignment type, you're going to have to enter it scaled to 100 points in order to get the average and the weighted average to come out correctly. So if you look in Canvas, that just literally tells you how many points you earned compared to what the assignment was worth. What you need to do to get it entered correctly weighted towards 100 points or scaled to 100 points in your Excel spreadsheet is if the assignment was worth 15 points and you earned, say, 12 points, you would take what you earned, divide by what the assignment was worth, and you will get a decimal, but you want to convert it to a percentage. So you earn 12 points out of 15, do 12 divided by 15, you get 0.8. You can either just convert it because you know to move the decimal 2 places, or you can multiply it by 100, and that's what would go into your Excel spreadsheet. So this would be entered as an 80. All of your grades and calculations should be formatted to round to 2 decimal places. So back to the Excel spreadsheet, you can see I've got all these grades entered, but they're all scaled to 100. So obviously none of the homeworks were actually worth 100 points, but even the MyLab Math video, which was worth 1 point, if you did it, that you get 100 as your scaled score. So you have to put a little bit of time into the calculations to make sure that average will come out right. So after you've done that, gotten all your grades entered, I would start this as soon as possible and just sort of build it so that you're not waiting till the last minute, and you can also kind of update as you get more grades and you have an accurate current grade for the class at all times. So again, you can look at this video and see this example and see how much room to leave for the assignments that you've done, but also the ones that are coming. And get your grades. You can start entering your grades now, up to where we are. So after you've gotten all the grades in, then you're going to find the average for each assignment type. So you've done that before. You're going to use that built-in average formula. So, you're going to do equals and then average, and then you're going to highlight that whole column. If you go ahead and get it set up with how many assignments it's going to be in total, even though you won't have any grades entered for the ones we haven't gotten to yet, if you do the average for the whole column, then as you put more grades in, it will update that average. So you just have to make sure that you're getting that formula in and you're leaving enough room so that you won't have to continue to move the bottom down further as you need to add more assignments. All right, so you're going to do the average, calculate the average for each assignment type. So there'll be 5 different averages. Now notice the colors. So you do need to use color. You don't have to use my colors, but you should have a color for the homework columns, a color for the Excel homework columns, a color for the quiz columns, a color for the project columns, and a color for the test columns. And that same color should be at the bottom where you have the average. I didn't mean to click on that. So then you've done that. You've done all the averages. Now you can put in the formula for the weighted average. We learned that in Chapter 2, so you can always revisit that information in Chapter 2 if you need a reminder of how to do that. So specifically, though, to the right of all the assignment columns, I want you to type in the words weighted average, and then below that, I want you to type in the equation or the formula that you're going to use to calculate that weighted average using all the averages, the 5 averages that you've had. I specifically want you to create thick outside borders around the words weighted average, and then highlight that calculated average grade in whatever color. Again, 2 decimal places is the format. So that's right here. So I typed in the words weighted average. When I'm on that, I can highlight both cells, and then when you come over here, you've got a drop-down menu. You can see that like thick outside borders is how you can get that. You've got different choices, but that's how I want it. And then underneath, I've chosen a color for the weighted average, and then I have that formula that we learned in Chapter 2. It's got the averages. You want to not type in the number. You want to use the cell reference. So like right here, the Excel homeworks are with 10%. I want to actually use that cell reference for that is D9 is in the formula. I'm not just typing in that number. So, and that was worth 10%. So I use 0.01. You can use, 2, 1, 2, 1, 4, and then use those same numbers down there, just like we did in class. You have some options on that. But you want to use the cell references. That way, when you add and delete grades, it will update the average, the weighted average as well. So after you've gotten that, then you're going to create on that first sheet, you're going to create a clustered column chart comparing your average in each grading category. So when you get to in Chapter 4, you'll have an Excel homework on budgets, and you'll have to do the same thing. It wants you to create a pie chart, but you need to include information that's found in different places. And so what you can do to make that easier is you can just sort of summarize that information so that it's easy to highlight and create your chart. Your chart should be a clustered column chart, and you want to have a title, average per assignment type. You want to format to show the average score above each bar, and you want to include a legend at the bottom for all the assignment types. So I have that here. So here's where I created, so that separated that information. So I have the 5 different assignment types with the averages, and then the grades. Notice here I didn't just type in the grade, I used the cell reference. So as I add and delete scores here, that gets adjusted. So then I can just highlight this information to create this chart over here. So again, it should be this kind of chart. You should have your legend, the different category averages, and the average score above each bar. Then you're going to open a new sheet, and you basically want to copy the first sheet over to the second sheet as opposed to retyping everything. That's the easiest thing to do. So over here, I'm on the first sheet. If I right click, I have an option to move or copy. And so I can actually click create a copy and move to end and hit OK, and it'll just copy this whole sheet. So I've already done that. And then you can, when I'm over here, I can right click it and I can rename it. So when I copy it, it'll give me it'll say student example 2 or something like that. And then I can just right click it and rename it so I know the difference between the two. So then over here, now I'm going to look at what my grade is after I drop the ones I'm allowed to drop. So you're allowed to drop the 4 lowest homeworks. Notice that I didn't delete the row, I just deleted that grade so I can see exactly where those 4 grades got dropped. I dropped the 1 Excel homework. I dropped the 2 quizzes. You do not drop projects. You do not drop tests. So if I've copied that over, then as I delete them, the average should update and my weighted average should update. So you can see over here, before I dropped them, the weighted average was 78.03. After I dropped them, it updated to 81.17. Okay, so then the rest of the project, you have the second sheet where you've dropped the ones you're allowed to drop. And so that's your second sheet, is that you're going to recompute your new averages. If you've done everything right from the first sheet, then as you delete them, all of the averages and the weighted average should update. And then on that second sheet, you're going to create a stacked bar chart comparing each assignment category before you dropped your lowest grades to after. So again, since if you've done it this way on the first sheet where you sort of summarized and organized your information so you could just highlight it all, over here, I just added to that and I just put in the new averages. Again, I just use the cell references from over here. I didn't type in the numbers. I clicked on the cells, put equals and then that cell, so that if I change something, this would also change. So that way I can highlight all of that. And then once I highlight all of this information, then I can right click on it and I can insert the chart that I want here. I have not created that. I'm going to leave that for you to figure out. Anything that you're confused on, you should revisit the different videos in the e-textbook for chapter 0. There's videos for everything. This one should be a stacked bar chart. And the first one was a clustered column chart. And you should save your Excel file with the name grades using weighted averages, and then your name. And you need to upload this to the Canvas assignment as an Excel file. It's due on or before December 4th by the end of the day. Because this is the actual last week of the course, I will not accept any late projects. So you can get it in early, but on December 5th, if I don't have it, it's a 0. So that is the gist of your project. And you're free to ask me questions along the way. Again, my suggestion would be that you go ahead and start building this sooner rather than later, so you can start putting in your grades, and then you can kind of add them week to week, and then you'll be able to see where you currently are. And for example, if you did really poorly on an Excel homework, you kind of can know that's the one you're going to drop. Or if you didn't take a quiz, then you know that you're going to drop that one. So you can kind of keep an idea of, okay, I did get a 0 on that quiz, but I'm going to drop it. So what is my grade going to be, with that dropped? And go ahead and start building this instead of waiting till the last day. You can't really turn it in but so early, because we need to, and you'll leave like the class, the project number 2, you can kind of leave that blank because you don't have a grade for that yet, or you can put in what you think your estimated grade is. You shouldn't turn it in before we've had test number 3 and you've seen your grade. It'd probably be in Canvas before you actually get it back. And like if you've done everything along the way, and so you know that you don't need to take the chapter 9 quiz, then you can put a 0 in on the first sheet, but you can delete it on the second sheet, those kind of things. But you can only get it turned in so early, because you would have to at least wait until the last test to get that grade in there. All right, so good luck, and don't wait too long to get started. And remember that you have a quiz on chapter 3 on Monday.